almost stopped reading Throne of Glass because of the character that I want to talk to you about today. And honestly, I think initially that was a lot of people's read of this character. She's introduced as feral and violent. She has iron teeth, literal claws, and a violent joy in killing. And honestly, on my initial read through, I really thought this was going to be her story, that we were supposed to celebrate this character's ruthlessness as a weapon of her grandmother, bred for blood and power. And I'm talking, of course, about Manon Blackbeak. And my favorite thing about her is that this is nowhere near at all where her story ends up. Not even close. Honestly, this is not even really where her story begins. I'm going to do a full analysis of Manon Blackbeak's character, so if you haven't finished Throne of Glass, then I would go ahead and save this video so that you can come back and watch it later and not be spoiled. Honestly, if you look closely, and I mean really closely, like we're going to do today, every single piece of Manon's development starts with these tiny little cracks in this armor that she presents to other people as a way to convince them, and maybe herself, that she's this bloodthirsty killing machine she's always been told she has to be. And this starts way before she even meets the love of her life or before any of her rebellions. It really starts when she chooses her Wyvern. But let's rewind a little bit before we get there. When we first meet Manon, she is truly terrifying. Sarah J. Maas really takes her time to paint her as this perfect, brutal creature. She is cold, she is efficient, she sees compassion as a weakness. I think the writing is supposed to make us flinch. It's written that way. As if you're supposed to think, why is this villain given so much page space in this book? So this is what's brilliant about it, because Maas really writes her with this almost cinematic horror energy. The way her nails click, her teeth gleam, the way the soldiers literally fear her. Manon is uncanny valley. There is almost no humanization to her at all. But this really is where we see her character start to develop. The lack of Manon's humanity is the foundation for her entire arc because it is unnatural. This is a shield, a facade that Manon has put up in front of herself to deflect from how she's actually feeling. Because when you build a character entirely out of violence and control, you leave space for the character themselves to start questioning why. Why do I act like this? Manon's early chapters are so striking because, again, you want to look away. You want to put them down. But because Maas is such a good writer, we really start to sense that she is not being cruel for cruelty's sake. There's something else going on underneath this layer of violence that she presents to everybody else. And so we have Abraxos. And this moment, choosing her Wyvern, is where I think her story really begins. Every other witch, and Manon herself initially, is trying to find the biggest, scariest beast that's out there. They want power, violence, control. They want the dragon that will emphasize to everyone else and to themselves that they're dominant. And Manon's world has told her as she's grown up that that's the only thing that matters. But Abraxos is a broken creature. He's got scars. He really should not have survived, let alone been chosen by Manon. But Manon does pick him, and this is really key because it shows us the woman, not that Manon is right now. Because honestly, Manon does not pick him out of compassion. But the key is that this choice shows us who she can become. When Manon picks him, she doesn't pick him because she feels sorry for him. She chooses him because I think she recognizes something that she feels within her own bones. I don't think she can even name it yet, and it's something that she's been told to destroy her entire life. But Abraxos represents strength through survival. This idea that fighting for your life, fighting to make the world a better place for you than it is right now, that is in itself a worthy goal. This is power through because of vulnerability. The power to still fight after you've been broken. And right here, this becomes the mirror for Manon's development. Because for the first time, I think even subconsciously, she's drawn to a power that does not rely on dominance. She's drawn to a power that fosters protection. This scene was written so perfectly because you can really start to feel Manon's instincts start to rebel against everything that she's been told growing up. Manon will not even admit to herself or to anyone else that she is choosing herself in that moment, choosing what she wants, what she believes in over what she's been told, but it's there, and as the reader, we can start to see it. And start to see the self that she's never allowed, she's never even dreamed that she could become, start to emerge. And so this is where we get to the turning point for Manon, and that, of course, is Asterin's confession to her. So this was probably in the entire Throne of Glass series, I think the most emotional moment for me. Asterin is telling Manon about the man she loved, about the baby that she lost, and Manon's grandmother's absolutely horrific role in all of it. And the moment is so intense, it's so full of emotion because it completely shifts how Manon has seen the world up until this moment. For Manon, all that violence that she has been taught to cultivate, to worship, to chase after turns inward, and she can see it for what it really is. It's just cruelty. And Manon, because of her connection to Asterin, she can't unsee it. She can't lie to herself, and she definitely can't lie to Asterin about what it really is. Manon realizes that the loyalty and the obedience that she's fostered towards her grandmother, thinking that she's doing all the right things, doing everything that she's been told, these aren't virtues. They're chains that prevent herself and the people that she loves from reaching freedom, from reaching everything that they were destined to be. And her grandmother's entire reign is built on the desire to completely obliterate anything that even resembles tenderness. And so this is the moment where Manon actually begins to choose. This is not a full rebellion. It's not yet. She hasn't reached that point, but it's a crack in the way that Manon has chosen to see herself and to see her world. Manon really starts to see that violence and aggression don't have to mean complete loss of control or dominance. She can use those characteristics for protection. She could defend something rather than destroy it. So this moment to me is when I think Manon stops being her grandmother's heir and really steps into her role as the queen. This is when she steps into her role as her own person. And so in the next part of her arc, this really is just about her implementing what that looks like for her. Her protection of the 13 when she stands against her grandmother, when she decides that leadership isn't about control, but about responsibility. And this is where this violence that she's claimed for so long is integrated and made into something new. Because what I love about Manon's character development is she does not shed this aggression. She doesn't soften in the sense that she becomes weaker or that she stops fighting. This is the brilliance of Manon's character. She does not have to become gentle in order to be good. She becomes fierce for something that is worth fighting for. Her brutality becomes a weapon for justice, and her strength becomes a shield. And it is so satisfying to watch. Because her growth isn't about subtraction. She doesn't become less of herself. She just redirects it towards something that she believes in, towards something that she loves. She keeps her teeth, she keeps her claws, she keeps everything that makes her terrifying, but she uses it to guard and to protect, not to dominate. Manon's evolution out of all the characters in Throne of Glass is the one that I think feels the most earned. She is still terrifying, she is still unstoppable, but now her power is rooted in love. And then we have Dorian, and what I love about their relationship is Dorian isn't there to redeem Manon. She's already done that for herself. She's already made these decisions that have changed her into a guardian and a protector, but her relationship with Dorian reveals even more sides of her, and it gives her someone who celebrates her for all that she is, even ways that she hasn't seen herself yet. And I think it's because Dorian is not afraid of her darkness. He does see it, but he's just lived it in himself. And I think for the first time, Manon is allowed to exist in a relationship with someone without proving that she deserves to live. Their dynamic works because it's built not on hiding who she is, but on integrating all the different parts of her. In her relationship to Dorian, she learns that she doesn't have to be just one thing. She can be ruthless and she can be compassionate. She can be violent and she can be kind. This is where Manon's story led us all along. Not to a subtraction, not to a complete renewal of everything, but to wholeness. Manon does not reject who she is. She just learns to aim it better. So this to me is what I love most about Manon's arc. This is the beautiful part of it. She becomes someone who protects others, not in spite of her power, but because of it, through it. Her violence becomes her empathy. When we look back about it, this is not a story about taming the monster. It's about Manon realizing that the monster was never the problem. It was what she had been told, and it was her terror of love and of belonging. This is not a redemption story. In so many ways, this is a reclamation story about taking all these different things where you were told that you were too much, you were too sharp, you're not good enough, you're too dangerous, and saying, fine, maybe all of that is true. I'm going to use it for good anyway. Manon does not lose her teeth. She just understands who they're for. And this is the character development that will make me read a thousands upon thousands of page book series. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. If you love Sarah J. Maas as much as I do, go ahead and give me a follow, and I would love to hear your thoughts about Manon or your favorite character in the Throne of Glass series.